So quickly, I want to talk about the late night show because
let's do it.
Yep.
I know I've seen like the stuff where you said, you grew up watching Conan, super cool, and I like
It's the best.
I love Harvard guy. I love Conan.
Oh my God! How many times can we
late
get
night
this
show.
in the
think about that.
podcast?
Yeah.
But I would say this. I'm curious to get just like now that we can look back at it, your thoughts on how it was. If you do it again, are you going to do it again? But I would just say, I thought it was super ambitious, super brave, because it's something like that is putting yourself out there.
For sure.
Big
Yeah.
time.
I mean, comedy, A, is not easy, and B, you do a late night show and you're compared to Seth Meyers and Jimmy
Every other
Fallon
late night
and
show.
Jimmy
Guys that have
Kimmel
been
and-
doing it, and
But I thought it was really cool that you put yourself out there. How did you think it went? Was it rewarding for you, and will you do it again?
it's incredibly rewarding. I mean, anything you put a lot of time in to like originating and creating, I think it's amazingly rewarding when it comes full circle and it's actually being done. And I had no idea what I was getting myself into, and we kind of had this idea, and we like talked to ESPN, NFL Films, and then you're building out, writers and directors and set design and like all these things that like I don't know why I didn't think there was going to be a lot of time spent in that, and it's very meticulously thought out, and like it was incredibly rewarding to create all of that from nothing and to do that with a bunch of people. And like you said, it was an ambitious show. Like it would have been much easier to just do a straightforward sports talk show, have great panelists on, and we had some phenomenal guests. The comedy bits are something that I've always loved about late night shows and Conan and stuff, and we went for it, and we had an amazing team of writers. A lot of them worked on Conan, and it was fun to try it. I think it was fun seeing how much better I got as the weeks went. You know what I mean? There's like, it's kind of like tape. You're like
Reps.
watching yourself. It's like, man, why am I not looking at the camera when I'm doing this? Why am I pausing there? How can I?
Well, I found this too, and I don't know if you have, but just even doing the TV stuff, as athletes, like we're used to being criticized and to people telling us what's wrong and coaching us, and but then getting into this world now, sometimes I feel like people are afraid to
For sure.
criticize and step on toes and
100%.
worried about your feelings, and but you almost
100%.
want the
I want the
You
honesty.
almost want the heat. You want people.
You crave the honesty.
Yep.
And it's hard to get it in this world, in the media landscape a little bit. Now you can get it, especially if you're not
like,
searching
wait,
there.
Gosh, I actually didn't want you to be that honest. It's just
For
Like,
sure.
keep your shirt on.
goes for both of us.
I know. I'm sorry. I don't know which one I was
Both
talking
been
to
there.
there.
It's hard when you're in that environment.
You got to give the people what they want.
Yeah. But that was one of the things I actually really liked about the late night show.
Yeah.
One of our head writer and John, he was like the coach. Like after the first show, it was a hard show, and doing it in the moment and in the venue, it felt really good. Like the energy was there. I was like, man, we just had a fucking great show and everything. You watch it on tape, and you're like, man, I could have done all this other stuff really well. And he was just awesome to talk about, because he's been doing it for so long.
Yeah.
And he was just amazingly helpful to help me get better, and then also just like coach me through all of the process of like going, not even improving, but like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of like the right word. It's not improving.
But were you, like, for that, were you, like, how much of that was off prompter? How much of that was you spitballing? Like, did you change as you were going from episode to episode? Like, did you get more comfortable?
For sure. We got more comfortable, and you figure out what you like more. And it's hard to go, I'm better at unscripted.
Yeah.
That's just because that's what I've done for
That's
the
who you
majority of my
are.
life.
That's who you are, Jason
Yes.
Kelce, unscripted.
But I think the reality is doing that show and the timing and things that the way they need to happen, you have to script it. And I think that was a process for me to get better at, was going scripted.
Yeah.
But there were ways to script it that felt more
Still
natural.
in your voice.
And I think that was a process that we ironed out as the show went. I think that there were times where it's like, okay, we can be scripted here, but we can be a little bit more ad-libby here. But that was something for me that I just had to get reps at, and to figure out, okay, how can we go from the scripted stuff while also still being off the cuff and loose.
Yeah.
And it's hard to be off the cuff and loose unless you're comfortable and you don't feel like you're trying to be a robot a little
I think
bit.
that's the coolest part is like when you look at what you did with that this past year, you look at Tom Brady calling games. Like I think it's cool when you see the league's players who are really elite at playing the game.
Yeah.
And regardless, I think some people have a different viewpoint. It's like, hey, you know, is he as good as like so-and-so or like do late night like Jimmy Fallon? Like,
Yeah.
But what I think's neat is if you talk about paving the way for people, it's not always the first person we remember who
Yeah.
did something. Sometimes, a lot of the times, it's about the fact that you're willing to go take that chance
Right.
and you're willing to do that, that more people open their eyes that make these shows, that create these things, that give the opportunity for other people to have that chance.
Yep.
And there's inspiration in the greatest arguably football players ever played this game, and Tom Brady is willing to go get criticized and call games. I think that's fucking cool.
It is.
You know, I
Very
recently
cool.
sent him a message. We had a conversation about it. It was really neat to just tell him that. Like, dude, I think it's fucking cool that you're doing it. And then for you to go do this late night stuff and say, I'm going to put myself out there. I'm one of the best centers of all time. Who cares if you critique it or whatever? I'm trying to chase something. I have a passion to see what I can do. I think that's the fucking neatest part about it. But when you look back over the year, so obviously you and I were talking about this the other night, insanity. I mean, you did so many things, right? And you get that chance to think about it. What is one of those things that you look to this next year and say, there's either a new something I want to try, or there's something that I say, this is where I want to lean in?
I'm still figuring that out, to be honest with you. And I think, you know, once this week's over, I almost think of it like I just finished a football season.
Yes,
right?
that's what
And
it becomes.
Trust me. The season's over. I need to like decongest from everything to really focus on, okay, what do we really want to do? What's the appropriate amount of time commitment and work while still being there with the kids and having like all of these buckets that you value in your life met. And I think that's something that is an ongoing process right now we're figuring out. Yeah. So I think after this game, I'll probably take about a month to figure that out.
Yeah. What's the balance?
Yeah.
I love when I first walked into Miami, and you know everybody's got a million sayings up there, and this was definitely a New England saying. But my son Tate, who at the time, let's say that he was 12 years old, said there's a sign that said, "You have to be comfortable being uncomfortable." And he's like, "What does that mean, Dad?"
Right.
And that's how we lived our lives in the NFL. You just put yourself in these uncomfortable situations, so it's cool. And
I
it's
almost feel
admirable to
uncomfortable
see.
when I'm comfortable.
Ooh, see, I'm the same way.
Like if I am comfortable, I'm like, why am I why is there why am I not having anxiety right now?
Yeah. Boxers or briefs?
Nothing.
Nothing. Yeah, me too. And it just.
You don't feel comfortable like that, or you do?
Well, I don't know what if I'm staying in pants, and that's why I'm uncomfortable doing that.
Dude, my dad.
Yeah, not good.
No
streaks.
It was the whitey tighties, and like my mom's
Captain
washing
Skids.
them, and I'm like, what are we doing here? Just throw them
not good.
away.
Not good.
Why is this in the laundry hamper with other
That's so
clothes?
nasty.
Well, I mean, guys, this is the type of podcast you're going to get.
This is the stuff we want to talk about right here.
Right here.
Tidy whities with skid marks.